All right, this is a upcoming project, and I've only done this on a couple of Bibles. My wife was one of them, but this is an actual Bible sleeve or a Bible cover that the Bible goes in. Now, it has been in there, if I remember right, since the 80s. I'll find a date and verify that. She was just out here, we were talking about it, and we were talking about the Rebind. And I said, anyways, long story short, she said, no, I want to keep this. So what I'm going to do, now this thing's in pretty rough shape. That is the actual, most of the text block. Right there, literally in pieces. And we'll put that back together. This has been in there so long that this is this back page from the other side, actually stuck down there. And I'll very gingerly take it off, and I'm pretty sure can restore most of this leather work, get rid of all that discoloration, and then give a good cleaning to this leather. And it's leather is interesting because as leather goes, this is not a really what people would consider a high-grade leather. A lot of deceptive words in leather work. One of them is top grain, and people have a mistake that for being top quality. That's not what it means. But this is not an expensive leather. It's the back side of it has this on there. Oh, I can't really explain that. But anyways, but after all these years, that leather's a little on the thicker side, maybe 3 ounces, and not a good, not an excellent quality leather. Let me say it that way. I'm not trying to talk down of it, but the reality is most people talk real up about leather and how their extreme quality is going to endure so much. And this is since the 80s and a daily reader as far as I've understand. And the leather itself is in good shape. Now we'll see the later video how well it cleans up and what it looks like, and I'll verify the dates and all these things. But just a pretty neat cover and a lot of sentimental attachment. I did one for my wife. What I will do with this one, this will come out. The other side is like this. And whereas I usually make a brief pause, I usually make a house for the leather, something like this. This will be the house. This will be the exterior piece. And I'll make an interior piece that will hold the text block. And I'll try to remember to take some videos. It'll be just a little bit before I get to this, which means I'm liable to forget. But, cool. We'll see how she comes out. And then what'll happen is this will actually be the outside cover. And I have one for my wife. I made a sleeve for her years ago, and she just didn't want to part with it. So I bound it into it. And then I had a gentleman at jail that had a lot of sentimental attachment to a Bible cover, and I did his the same way. And we'll just see how she comes out, all right? Time will tell. All right, here's the finished product, the same exterior that you saw. And the outside of it cleaned up pretty well. There was actually some lettering right here, probably transferred from sitting on a newspaper or something, who knows what. And backside of it cleaned up pretty good. I mentioned how old this is. It's had some abuse, you know. That backside that was stuck, I worked a long time on that, and that little shadow right there, a little bit still in there. But I'd be embarrassed to tell you how long I worked on that. And then this other side was tore up pretty good, and it came out just pretty well. And the way I did that is like I showed you the house in the previous video. There's a house that goes underneath here. And then there's your tab, or that comes up right there. And the only thing, if you're a builder that's kind of curious, is my space here is just a little bit more, and that's to give some strength to that piece that crosses over and is glued down. Anyways, if you've never built one, that wouldn't make no sense to you. But that is just pretty good. It turned out pretty good. A lot of people have just, so much of it is tied up in sentimental attachment. And this one, I didn't have to, but I glued this pocket shut, mostly to avoid them putting stuff in there later and weakening it. But I thought that would be a good cautionary thing. And I pretty pleased with it. Pretty pleased with how it turned out. And so that heirloom, I just keep on going. This part, the leather, you're pretty hard-pressed to wear out leather. There's, of course, that's got to be understood. But the text block will wear out a whole bunch quicker. And then this one, put it back together. It was in pieces, if you remember. And it was what we call a perfect paste. I've got some videos that explain how I do that. The perfect paste always takes a little more breaking in. The bigger the perfect paste, the wider it is, the easier it breaks in. This one's pretty good. Sentimental attachments. I had a lady the other day, as a matter of fact, just yesterday in my world, and my day job customer said, "I want to see you rebind this." And she opened up her Bible. It was a hardback. And on this side of the hardback, there was handwritten by her dad or granddad. And she's senior to me by a fair amount. And she said, "But I've got to save that." And without going into too much detail, there's just no way. I've done some things to save portions of that, but in a hardback, it wasn't going to happen. And she said, "Well, I don't want to have it done then, because that's his handwriting," But that's the level of sentiment that is in a lot of these. Lord bless you.